Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the 2020 Ford F-250 in the XL trim package. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, well, that's a boring truck to go over. It's actually not, because this one has the 7.3 liter gas engine. I have yet to drive this, review it, or anything, so I'm super excited to do that. A huge shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for providing us with this 2020 Ford F-250 with the gas engine. Check out the inventory in the link below. Let's get into the video. Under the hood here, we have a naturally aspirated 7.3 liter naturally aspirated V8 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 430 horsepower and then 470 pound-feet of torque, and then fuel economy numbers aren't released since this is a heavy-duty truck. Now let's go over some things on the front end of the XL here. So the hood is identical to any other Super Duty, nothing's changed there. You do have kind of like the newer-ish looking headlight assembly here on the 2020 Super Duties. We actually do get fog lights down there at the bottom, which is a nice little touch. We've got tow hooks on either side, and then you can see that you have the air dam at the bottom, obviously to help out with fuel economy on the highway, and hopefully you guys can see the lights while they are on. They are halogen bulbs at the front, and that is pretty much everything for the front end of the 2020 XL. Now coming around to the side here, we've got 245mm tires, 17-inch rims, and well, I mean, you can see there's nothing crazy fancy happening there, but I will show you the front end here so you guys can see kind of what the suspension looks like. Now taking a step back, here is the little XL badging, then you have the F-250 badging there on the side, gigantic trailer mirrors, and then this one has the longer sized bed, so it's absolutely massive. And I mean, this isn't a perfect side view because this other truck is kind of blocking me, but I mean, you can see kind of like a side-ish view on the truck. Here is our key fob for the XL. We have a couple functions, so you press this up and that'll just do the flip up function so you can unlock the doors manually, and that also is used to start the truck. It has an unlock function and a lock function, and then you have the alarm button. Other than that, the key fob, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy going on there. But everything in the rear of the truck, this is where stuff gets a little bit exciting. So pulling this down, it is not slow lowering at all, so don't just like drop it. You have to use your muscles just a little bit. But coming into the rear, we don't have any like LED lights on the side here, anything like that. And again, this is a long bed, so you guys can kind of see just how massive the bed actually is. And then when you are done, you can pick up the tailgate. Now in terms of how it feels, it's relatively light and easy to get into place. Let's go over the back end of the 2020 Ford F-250 XL. So again, the taillights themselves, you notice that the assembly is like the same shape as the upgraded assembly on the Super Duties. It's just that you don't get LEDs, sadly, but it's okay, it still looks cool. Here's the most important part. We've got the exhaust tip just down here at the bottom, which I will give you guys some nice sounds from the exhaust momentarily. We do have the little receiver hitch there at the bottom. Obviously, that's going to be used for towing, all that kind of stuff. Do get your regular plugins, which they're right here by the little license plate. And other than that, I mean, things are super simplistic here at the rear. And, well, it says 4x4 on the side. Opening up the rear of the 2020 XL, we see the whole door panel situation happening here. And in terms of everything that's happening in the door panel, it's just all kind of like hard touch on this little area, and all along there, there's just nothing fancy going on. Now coming over to the seats themselves, you can see that the seats are full cloth seats, and again, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, but I mean, it's relatively soft to the touch. Pulling up the seats, again, I mean, there's a good amount of storage underneath them. Now we are going to pop in, and well, without side steps, it's a little bit of work. Legroom in here, I mean, it's plentiful on the legroom side of things. Headroom, I'm 5'11", and I've got a ton of space back here. I mean, from just like a space standpoint, it's really solid. Before we go over the door panel in the front, I just want to mention the mirror here. So these are the trailer mirrors. They are absolutely massive. I mean, you can see they just show everything. The top part is heated. Now, actually opening up the door panel itself, it's identical material set up to the rear. It's just that this part's a little bit longer. You got all your controls for like your windows, door lock and unlock. Nothing too crazy going on there. And then here are the seats in the front. And again, I really like the material on these seats themselves. It's just nice, durable cloth, fully manually adjustable, no power adjustments. And then pedal layout is just down below right there. All of your light controls are going to be on this little dial right here. And then you got like your cargo light, fog lights, all that kind of stuff. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. And here's just one more look before we pop inside. Well, we've got this whole situation happening. So we just have to manually put the key in, twist it, and start her all up. Gauges will do their normal little sweep. And, well, world's smallest infotainment system, but we'll get into that momentarily. Here is the steering wheel on the 2020 Ford F-250 XL. Now coming over here, we've got like our volume controls in that little area, voice command controls just down below. Cruise control is on the other side, and then you got these controls for the center stack. In terms of the material on the steering wheel, really rough to the touch, but again, it has that like durable feeling. Over here, you've got the controls for like doing the high beams, also the turn signal. Now on the other side over here, we have the little button for the drive modes at the top, which we'll go over later. And then just down below, we have the little gear selector, which all that really does is so you can manually shift through the gears. So if you want to go up a gear, down a gear, pretty straightforward. Here is our center gauge cluster. So over on the left side, we've got the RPMs, and then on the right side, we've got a traditional speedo, nothing too crazy there. And then you do have like the oldest looking analog gauge cluster there, which, I mean, it doesn't show you a whole lot of info, but it shows you some things. Ooh, we've got fuel economy, 13.4 miles per gallon. This one has 245 miles on it. So, there's your fuel economy with 245 miles on the truck, just saying. Well, of course, I forgot to mention the drive modes, so we will go over the drive modes. Now, you just have to press it in, and then you can see that you have normal, tow haul, eco, slippery, deep sand and snow, and wait for it, back to normal. So you've got those different drive modes you can scroll through on an infotainment, or not infotainment, but a center stack that looks like it's from 1980. I'm gonna show you guys like the world's smallest infotainment system, but we are gonna pop it in reverse so you guys can see the little backup camera. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna give this infotainment system any rewards or anything like that. You got controls on either side of the infotainment system, but it's tiny, and I mean, it gets the job done. If you like things simple, then this is the infotainment system for you. Now, coming just down below the infotainment system, we have analog controls for like the radio. You actually get a couple 12 volts under that little panel right there. This is the drive mode select for the drive line. So you got your 2-wheel high, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low. Trailer brake controls are just down below. And then there is the climate controls. It is just a single zone climate, which, I mean, I expect that in the XL. And we get like a little USB down here and another 12. There's lots of little like 12 volt cigarette type lighter chargers. Coming over here, opening this up, we've got the little center kind of like console on the bench seat. It does pull up to be a seat, and there is no, or there actually is. So I was wrong, guys. There is storage underneath the seat. There you go. Tons of storage space here in the XL. Now, finishing the topic on storage, we have the little glove box right here. I shouldn't say little because it's massive. And I mean, yeah, you can store a million things in that glove box, so not much else to say on that. Now, up top here, we have a bunch of little auxiliary switches, which you can add auxiliary items. If you guys remember, I put like aftermarket lights on my Raptor, but then I took them off. But use switches for stuff like that. Little sunglass holder up here, and then you do have the mirror dimmer, which also functions as a little thing to play with. And then, by the way, it is a fixed rear window in the XL, and well, it's everything for up top. Now that we're done going over the interior, let's quickly talk about pricing. So this particular 2020 Ford F-250 with the gas engine, stickers for about $46,000 for any type of market adjustment. And more importantly, the 7.3 gas engine is about $2,000, it's a little bit over $2,000 as an upgrade. So, I mean, that's not too bad, but some truck manufacturers will offer these V8s at no cost, like Ram gives a 6.4 Hemi as standard, so just saying. That all being said though, well, let's take her out and see how she drives. Let me quickly show you guys visibility here in this long bed XL before we set off. Visibility over the hood, I mean, it's just like all the other heavy duty F-Series trucks. It's really easy to see out of. Visibility through both the mirrors, I mean, it's awesome. They're massive and they show everything around the truck pretty much. And then you can see visibility all throughout the rear. It's unchanged compared to any other 2020 Ford F-250 or F-350. That all being said though, let's set off. We are setting off, and I tried to get through that walk around portion as quickly as possible because I wanted to spend a little bit more time actually driving the truck so that I could talk about it a little bit more on the drive portion, because I think that's the most important part of this particular video. Now, initially setting off kind of at like lower speeds, the engine just kind of makes this nice like rumbling sound. You guys heard the exhaust clip. I think it sounds pretty good, and it did make some crackle sounds, but I think there was just some leftover fuel in the exhaust system, so that was kind of causing the crackling, but still cool. Now I am setting off for real here in the 7.3, and let's talk about the road noise and ride quality. So initially, from a ride quality standpoint, I'm not really noticing a difference between this and like the diesel engine on the ride quality. In terms of the noise, it seems like it's a little bit quieter than the diesel from the engine standpoint. Now the tire, all that kind of stuff, that suspension, that stands the same. But yeah, I mean, it feels like it rides the same, and it feels like it's just a little bit quieter compared to the diesel, just with the noises that you're hearing from the engine when you're just kind of like casually driving around town, if that makes sense. Now, I am going to be getting my acceleration here in the 7.3, and I'm actually pretty excited because I want to be able to compare this to Chevy and Ram. Ooh. Okay, so this is interesting. It kind of is like a little bit slow initially, right? It's just kind of like, nothing's really happening. And then as soon as you get above like 25, 30 miles an hour, it just like really kicks in and pulls. That is interesting. And in terms of like the torque on it, it's actually really solid. Like, I'm going up this hill right now, and it has more than enough torque to just keep going, which definitely is something that you want in a truck, and something that I love in trucks in general. Yeah, this truck is surprising. I'm really surprised. I like that feel. Like, let's just get another little. Yeah, it just kind of, it comes on, and that 10-speed does a really good job at keeping this in the power. Like, yeah, this is definitely solid from an acceleration standpoint, from everything. I mean, I am very impressed with this truck so far. That is pretty good. Now let's actually get into summing things up with this 7.3, what I feel about the engine in general. And what I would say is I really like this engine. Now, comparing it to Chevy's 6.6 liter gas engine and Ram's 6.4 Hemi, I mean, the power figures show this is a little bit stronger than both of those. The Chevy's definitely pretty close. The Ram, yeah, it just lags behind. That 6.4 Hemi, I know they could get more power out of it. So from like the power standpoint, it's super solid. I like the 10-speed that's paired to it. It does a really good job of putting it in the right gear and shifting through the gears relatively quickly. But if I had to like choose right between the different engines, completely take the truck away, just engine to engine, and I think that I would choose the 7.3. I like the power delivery, I like the sound, I like the feel of the engine. Just everything about this engine is just really good, and so I think Ford's done a really solid job. So if you are looking at a gas engine heavy duty, then I would definitely at least give the 7.3 a look. That is going to sum things up for our video on the 2020 Ford F-250 with the 7.3 liter gas engine. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo for providing us with the truck. Check out the inventory in the link below if you're in the market for new Ford or Lincoln. I'll see all of you in that next video.